Thank you, Raghav. Yeah, the question of what has been discussed elaborately, and I think we're all admiring the great examples. The how, as Raghav indicated, when you spend an hour talking to retailers on innovation, they might spend 5 minutes on the how, but it could actually be quite important. It's also clear there's no single answer, because the panel this morning, I think, had quite different views on innovation, what it is, probably also on how you should do it. And at the same time, some good examples of entrepreneurs. I think there's about 1 million people employed in the Indian retail industry. So I don't think we want to just rely on 50 or 100, maybe 1,000 entrepreneurs and not leverage the great knowledge and enthusiasm of maybe 1 million people, and then we're not even including the supply chain behind us. So I'm trying to give you a few views on the how, with some international examples as well, because I think good ideas travel quite well. As Raghav was indicating, was maybe that the food grocery industry is not so known for innovation. I don't think that's the case. We maybe don't see it as innovation, but I think there's quite a few fundamental innovations that have taken place. And you could say there's many examples, or you could also say there's very few examples. So good ideas don't come along very often, but when there's some good ideas, they can actually have some fundamental impact. It also shows that good ideas that have been around for years are not easily copied by other companies. So private label has been around for a while, self-scanning has been around for years, and I can mention quite a few other examples that one could easily copy. So it's not just about having the idea, it's also how you make them happen. Now, when you do have good, genuine innovation, they can make a huge difference. But it's not always what you think it is. A comparison of Gap and Zara, people believe that Zara, with their proposition, they actually are operating at lower cost than an example of the Gap. It's not the case. They run a different business model. Their product is actually more expensive to make, but actually they have fewer discounts, etc., etc. The same with Amazon. It was initially a very difficult and no money-making machine at all, and Best Buy was a success story. Later on, the game changes. So if you do innovation well, it can give you a huge advantage, but it's not a one-off example or a one-off idea that keeps you around forever. And obviously, we can actually mention quite a few companies that are very innovative and successful, but some of them are only innovative and successful, and the other ones are not. So what is it that you can do to make innovation successful? How do you do it? Well, the first secret we'll disclose is not about spending a lot of money. The analysis on the right-hand side of this slide actually shows that by spending more, there's no guarantee to getting better or more successful innovation, which leads to growth or profitability. So I have to disappoint you that my answer is not about spending a lot. It's an easy answer. It won't get you there. The second point you have to keep in mind, it is also about how you actually see it yourself. What's the type of business you have? So quite a difference between being a first mover or being a fast follower. If you take examples like IKEA or Amazon or Zara, they actually had a very good initial idea, so they had no one to copy. Actually, there's quite a few industries and segments in retail where there's enough to copy, and if you do that very well, you can make actually some very profitable businesses. So sometimes being a fast follower is maybe a better approach than being just waiting for a great idea, or maybe waiting for that entrepreneur to come up with something new. So it's also making the choice that up front you have to think where I'm actually positioned and how I'm going to leverage innovation. So the how actually can be summarized around 5 themes. Leadership and resourcing, I think it's been mentioned before. Culture, similarly. Capabilities, that's different. You don't have to just innovate, just find good ideas. It's actually thinking about what as a company you want to be really good at and maybe innovate around that. Direct consumer insight. Fortunately, we're in an industry that we're all focusing on consumers, not just on shoppers. Retailers do spend a lot of time more recently thinking about understanding shoppers, but it is ultimately about understanding consumers. And I know some of the breakout sessions later on and tomorrow will focus on that as well. And maybe the 5th point was a bit as a surprise, process and process discipline. So innovation is not about a whole bunch of